Pressure gauge. Definition, types, uses, parts, applications, advantages and disadvantages. Pressure gauges are a typical measuring device used to monitor the pressure in pipelines and guarantee the safe movement of gases, liquids, and steam. The exhibitions of pumps, conveying systems, and different sorts of spray nozzles are evaluated utilizing pressure gauges. The principal motivation behind pressure gauges is to provide information in regard to the situation with a system and prevent damage to equipment and leakages. A properly placed top-notch pressure gauge, no matter what its expense, saves money on time and expenditures. Different types of pressure gauges. 1. Absolute pressure gauge. Absolute pressure gauges are utilized to measure pressure independent of the natural fluctuations in atmospheric pressure. A reference vacuum is attached to the side of the measuring element, which isn't liable to pressure. It has zero pressure with no variety. A diaphragm separates the media chamber from the vacuum chamber and distorts into the vacuum chamber as pressure rises. 2. Board-and-tube pressure gauge. A board-and-tube pressure gauge has an elastic tube that is soldered or welded toward one side into a socket. An adjustment of pressure causes a deflection in the tube. This is proportional to the applied pressure and is sent to a rotary gear with a pointer. The working standard of a board-and pressure gauge is that a curved tube will straighten when pressure is applied. This is demonstrated by a dial or digital readout. Board-and-tube pressure gauges are utilized to measure the pressure of gas, steam, or liquids. 3. Bellows pressure gauge. The bellows in a bellows pressure gauge are made of thin-walled springy metal connected tubes that structure a shape like an accordion. This is sealed in the free end of the gauge. As pressure is applied, it follows up on the bellows on the free end, causing it to expand and produce movement. Howell's pressure measures are extremely delicate and utilized for low-strain applications. 4. Diaphragm pressure gauge. A diaphragm pressure gauge is versatile and becomes displaced when pressure is applied. The main utilization of a diaphragm pressure gauge is for the measurement of low-level pressure. 5. Capsule pressure gauge. A capsule pressure gauge has two thin, concentric corrugated diaphragms that are sealed firmly together around their boundaries. Capsule pressure gauges are used for the measurement of substances, and they are used exclusively for measuring the pressure of gases. 6. Digital pressure gauge. A digital pressure gauge displays the pressure on an LCD screen and makes use of a transducer that converts the pressure value into an electrical signal. There are a wide variety of designs and styles of digital pressure gauges, with types that can be carried out for field testing and types that are installed on a pipeline. 7. Differential (DP) pressure gauge. Differential pressure gauges measure the contrast between the pressure in two chambers that are separated by an element that moves to and for the progressions in pressure. 8. Piezometer pressure gauge. A piezometer is a sort of manometer that is utilized to measure the medium pressure range of liquids. It is a simple glass tube that is open at two ends. 9. Dial or analog pressure gauges. The scale on a pressure gauge can be isolated into three segments, with the first and third sections being the least accurate and the middle or second section being the most reliable. While choosing a simple tension check, you need the ordinary strain to reach to fall inside the center part of the dial. 10. Manometer pressure gauge. Manometer pressure gauges measure pressure on a fluid by adjusting one section of liquid against the second segment of liquid. This sort of pressure gauge is the least difficult type and comprises a transparent tube as a U that is somewhat loaded up with a manometric liquid like mercury. How pressure gauges are made. A. Case. The cases for pressure gauges are made of plastic, steel, metal, or, most usually, stainless steel. B. Socket. The socket is the initial part of the pressure gauge for the compressed liquid contacts. C. Welding style. B. Pointer. The types of pointers vary according to the types of fine adjustments that the pointer permits and the pointer's complexity. E. Display. The readings on a pressure gauge can show up in a dial-style analog display or as a digital readout. F. Window. The front or face of a pressure gauge is the window that safeguards it from the environment and further protects the internal mechanism. How and where pressure gauges are used. 1. Automobiles. 2. Oil production. 3. Food industry. 4. Chemical industry. 5. Aeronautics. 6. Hydraulic. Advantages of a pressure gauge. Modern-day pressure gauges ensure gauge life div and, thus, reading accuracy. Digital pressure gauges are fast and exact. No operator interpretation is required. There are no parallax errors in pressure gauges. There is backlit capability in pressure gauges. Disadvantages of the pressure gauges. It is quite difficult to observe the whole scale or trends. They can't read all quantities that sway. They require a great deal of energy with the exception of the manual types. They respond slowly to pressure changes. They are in a condition of panic. Thanks for watching.